night I had the pleasure of going to a local community station and so jealous. It's studios that dreams are made of, and if you get the opportunity, you need to go along to see Hot Radio because, wow. I want to move in. It's absolutely incredible. Kevin Scott, would you like to tell us all about Hot Radio, please?
Thank you. I'm sitting there. Can I see? Hi, and first of all, welcome to Poole, which is our hometown, part of the BCP conurbation, which is Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, of which I've grown up in for the last 46 years. I want to tell you a little bit about the past history, without the mic.
Go on, mate.
There you go. A little bit of the history of how Hot Radio came about and where we're at today and the future and how the challenges for the sector where we see it from our perspective anyway at Hot Radio. But first of all, introduce a few of the team. I will be mentioning this later on. There's over 100 volunteers at Hot Radio. We're really fortunate. Some ex-ones in the in the building as well. Tom over there. But I'd like to introduce a few of the team and tell you what they do. So Holly's our latest recruit over there, bless her. Holly is part of our commercial team. She basically is sales support. She also looks after our social media management across the 3 stations. So welcome to Hot Radio, Holly. She's been with us a little while. She's learning the game and she's doing really well. She also does a bit of accounting, a little bit of invoicing for the commercial team, which I'll go on to later. Thank you, Holly. Ush is there, recently joined us as well actually, introduced, and what we try and do at Hot Radio is have a buddy system so that if something happens to anyone, we've got a second person that can fill in. So Ush, Jay Ratchett is our community liaison officer. He's not here today. He's actually doing, for BCP Council, a safety knife crime thing in Bournemouth Square today. So that's why he's not here today. But Ush is his buddy and has been to the university and lots of other places with us around the community liaison side of things. Mr. Dan here wears 2 hats actually. We've got some friends here from HRB, which is the local hospital radio, and soon to be more. Nudge, nudge. But anyway, Dan came from Hospital Radio. He is the buddy for Glenn Mitchell, who's our program controller. So he's the assistant program controller. He's also the hands-on IT guy, because Glenn actually moved to Manchester about 6 months ago, or was it longer than that? I don't know. Anyway, and to my left, your right, we have Paul Clark, aka Sparky, who's obviously got a better voice than me, or his mic works at least. Sparky, his name's Paul. Many years ago in Poole, in Tower Park, just up the road, there was a club called The Venue, 2,000 capacity club, 2 sides, 2 different musics, and Sparky was there.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
Well, but actually before the beginning
as well. And he got this nickname because...
I'm not an electrician, before you ask, but many years ago, let me quickly explain the short story. My real name's Paul Clark. Everyone used to call me Clarky. And one day I was doing a disco on a mobile rig, and we're saying that suddenly the mixer broke. I'm there with a screwdriver in it, and the guy comes up and he says, "We're ready to open." I said, "Whatever you do not turn my plug on, because it's turned off." He said, "I'll just put the lights on." Next minute, bang, and I got electrocuted. And from that moment on, it was no longer Clarky, it was Sparky, and it has stuck with me since the age of 16. And I'm glad of that in a way, because when I use my real name Paul Clark, people say, "Oh, were you the guy with Big Brother?" No, I'm not. So yeah, that's basically how I got my nickname.
Yeah, so this is Sparky, so introduce you to Sparky. And to my right and your left is the very lovely Elisa. Now, Elisa has a number of roles at Hot Radio. She's been there as long as I know. Did you start when I started, pretty much?
No, you got there before me.
I got there before you?
You opened the doors before I arrived.
Sorry. Elisa is the voice. We're talking about branding there, which is really interesting, by the way, which I'm going to go on to in a minute. Elisa is the voiceover, the person, the voice of our Hot Gold service. She has a fantastic voice. She does that. She also presents our most popular specialist show, which is The Rock Show, which is on Hot Radio every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and you've been doing that for many, many years. It's an absolute fantastic show. The effort she puts in is amazing, going to different concerts and festivals and all that kind of stuff.
It's
Obviously,
really hard work.
it's terrible.
Socialising with rock stars,
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, amazing asset to Hot Radio. Thank you. That's Elisa. So that's the 6 people that, well, 5 of us that are with me today. The 6 of us here out of the 100. So. Going over the past, I've got to first of all thank Richard, Susie, Jason, Terry and everybody from the CMA for coming to Poole, because it saved me going up north, which is colder, but unfortunately it's not sunny. Well, it's getting a little bit sunny out there, but we did have a tornado about 20 miles away last night, so I don't know if you saw that warning. But thanks for coming to Poole. It's really lovely down here. We have the #1 beach in the country, 4th best in Europe. If you haven't had a chance yet, go and see the golden sand there. If anybody's from Brighton, no disrespect, but we have sand, it's nice, and it's a beach, and you can make sandcastles. Yeah.
7 miles.
And 7 miles, well 11 if you include Poole, yeah? So there you go, that's our bay. A little bit of history about the past of Hot Radio. It was originally formed by a gentleman that was here today actually, Alan's over there. And it was one of those drunken moments in a pub, he told me earlier, that he came up with the idea. Yeah, standard story really. And he came up with, there's definitely a need for a community radio station in Poole. Now, previously, I was at Fire Radio, which is the old ILR, which is now Hits. And basically, I helped set up the other community radio station with Blair Crawford and the guys at Hope FM. But that was a Christian broadcasting service. So I think Alan had the right idea. Maybe at the wrong time. I don't know, Alan. I don't know the intricate histories. But it was called The Bay. It makes sense. We have a lovely bay. You've heard that earlier from the lovely glittery lady over there, Susie. It was fantastic. It had its challenges. He was doing really, really, really well. And then circumstances changed and it was taken over by AFC Bournemouth. So, and the studios were moved to AFC Bournemouth, which is not important if Ofcom's here. Sorry, just had to get that one in there. But anyway, nor is Bournemouth University, by the way, which I'm sure we have a guest here. And it was moved to AFC Bournemouth and it was run by the football club for a little while. I think Alan stayed with that team. And then it was taken over by Joe Bishop. Now, but Joe Bishop was a fantastic salesperson, knew the commercial side of, she used to be at Capital, etc., knew the commercial side of commercial radio, if you like, the sales side, and fantastic. But as Lee said rightly so over there, what brand was she selling? And I'll come back onto that. And then a guy took over who basically admitted to me he had no idea. We took over in 2018. My idea there was basically, I grew up here 46 years, 47 years, like I've said. I just had a birthday, by the way. Thank you. Both of you. But I believed there was a gap in the market. I was running Voice FM in Southampton for 6 years, and we created a great community asset up there, and I've learned the community radio sector as I went along. And I believed that there was definitely a gap in the market for community radio in my area, which I class as BCP, Bournemouth, Poole and Christchurch, because we've grown up pretty much next to each other. So I took over and I contacted lots of old friends, DJs, presenters, everybody I knew in the industry, and asked them to come and join me, to leave we call it Bournemouth bullshit at the door, where, you know, some people are against each other, they might have, competing businesses. Come together as a team and let's make a difference for our community. And that was the whole ethos of what I was doing. I've been very fortunate, been a DJ for 40 years, working with the best people in the industry, the biggest names you think of. Just a little plug, I'm working with Rag and Bone Man in Malta next Saturday. So that's the kind of caliber of people that I work with. They're just human beings. It doesn't matter about their fame. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But I've had that fortunate, and what I wanted to do is give back to my community the fortunate life I've had, and see if I can make a difference and help people along their way. So where are we today? I don't know how long we've been chatting for. We've got about 5 minutes?
3 minutes left.
3 minutes left. Oh my gosh. We haven't got any time. That's quite a lot of history. So anyway, I'm going to run through these really, really quickly. I absolutely agree with Lee, what he was saying earlier about the brand. I believe Hot Radio failed beforehand. When we took it over, it was in a mess. It had no brand awareness on air or off air. I believe it was all over the place. This is nothing to do with Alan and that, by the way, it's long gone. And it was in bad financial trouble. When I was told there was £17,000 worth of problems. There was actually £52,000 worth of problems. £52,000 worth of problems. So, and it didn't have a brand. So I got hold of my friend, and we created this lovely logo. He is the brand. Luckily, I've got lots of friends, and he is basically the designer for the Merlin Group. So you all know Alton Towers, places like that. And we created a brand that represented where we are. We get more sun than you up north. I'm sorry, it's a fact. The sun rises down here. So it was the sun rising, but also to keep that nostalgia of that DJ element and all that kind of stuff, it's a record going into a sleeve. So, right, where we are now, let's run through this. We are the local go-to service for lots of reasons for the BCP conurbation. Like I said, we have over 100 volunteers. Last year, we helped raise over £100,000 for local charities in the BCP conurbation. Thank you. Unfortunately, that was down £60,000 on the year before because of obviously the crunch we were all going through. We pride ourselves as the local go-to radio service. We attend something like 60 events.
Yeah, I'm the event manager as well. So
keep it quick because we.
Okay, keep it quick.
Yeah.
This year we've done 67 events. Right, our biggest event is the Bournemouth Air Festival. I built a studio on a double-decker bus for 3 days this year, usually 4 days. We broadcast live from 7 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. at night. Working with some friends from the Air Festival commentary. We do a live feed right across from Bournemouth Pier, right the way down to Boscombe on all the tannoys, so no one has a choice but to listen to Hot Radio. It's great.
Yeah.
All the traffic signs,
Yeah.
listen to Hot Radio 102.8.
I was going to say there's some money can't buy branding there because all the AA boards say traffic and travel 102.8.
Tune into Hot Radio.
Hot Radio. So we couldn't buy that.
And we've done some of the major festivals. We do Poole Harbour Festival. They get an average 11,000 people a day, 30,000 people over the weekend. We host the main stage. Elisa hosts the Rock there on a Saturday. We take part in the event management in a way of that, bring it all together. But being a part of the community, awareness, we are the only local radio station. And I think now everybody in this room will agree, there is no more local radio stations. It's down to the community stations.
Maybe.
And that is us. Everybody in this room is a local radio station. Those days are gone. You listen to people, the big boys that are trying to get local.
Especially quick. Especially,
Okay, I am.
30-second link, yeah?
Yeah, 30-second link, thanks for that. I'm known for that. Don't say anything, Dan. But yeah, basically, they're saying we are local. They are not local anymore. They're transmitted from hundreds of miles away. We are the local people in the community, and that's what we need to do.
So, yeah, you're 100% right, and I love your passion. That's why he's our station manager and event manager and everything else manager. But just as important, next Saturday, I said I was in Malta. Next Saturday, the team are walking. We're doing a 10k walk. We're trying to raise 10 grand. I think we're up to about 5,500 at the moment for our local hospitals trust. It's just as important. You know, there'll only be 50 people there rather than 600,000 at the Air Festival. But it's just as important for us to do that. We believe we're the beating heart of the community. Sadly, apart from a few surrounding community radio stations, there's no local output anymore. On commercial ILR, which I believe doesn't exist anymore. It's not independent, it's not local. End of, really. We provide listener with obviously live traffic updates, all the normal stuff, local news, bulletins. Took the word bulletins off my key commitments recently. We play music from 90s till now, and we're an integral part of the community, asked to do events right across the conurbation by our council and everybody else. The future, we want to improve our brand. We want to keep improving our brand. We want to get our brand out there. What Lee was saying earlier, you all need to take on board. We created a brand together and we got that brand out there. That's what I'm good at. We then introduced a commercial department to monetize that, and that's just as important, and we can talk about that another time. Our long-term goals are to provide services to other community radio stations. We're trying to give back. Radio Wimborne's in here. When they were setting up, they needed a bit of kit. Here you go, have it. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the community. Likewise, we are supporting a few of you, with some sales ideas over the last couple of days. We want to leave a legacy for Holly, for this lovely young lady next to me, to run a future generation's legacy which is owned by the community and is not for profit and is not for selfish gain. And that is the whole point, including our SSDAB application. Please support us. Yeah, and that's it basically, to keep the ownership in the charity sector, to make sure that the corporates don't take over this sector is really, really important. Challenges for the sector, I could go on forever, but I believe the most important thing, we need to stick together as a community. We are running community radio stations for our community. We need to stick together. There's been too much bickering in this industry between each other and competing. I spoke to Steve. Steve's here from Forest FM, just up the road, overlapping. Hi, Steve. We applied for a relay in Christchurch because the signal, the FM signal's still quite weak there. I rang Steve straight away. Have you got a problem with this? No. Spoke to Hope FM in Bournemouth. Have you got a problem with this? Absolutely not. Would you like a letter of support? That is what it means by working together. We tried to save the Swanage station that sadly disappeared. We got right to the last point. We'd sorted out a transmission site. We'd sorted out studio share. We'd sorted out a studio at my friend's post office in Swanage. We'd done everything we possibly could to save that. We were one day late. Tom at Ofcom said, I'm really, really sorry they didn't apply and the deadline was yesterday. There's nothing they could do. It was statutory law. We couldn't save that station, but we tried. And I just think we need to stick together as a sector. And
there you go.
we're way over time.
Yes.
Thank you, Susan.